Alright, we done with our silliness. Finished laughing and insulting each other. Well, now that we've made it to Sendai, I guess we should make our way for the castle.
Dispose of your life as you wish, but you'd better see to it that no harm comes to her. I need not remind you how valuable she is to me.
Oh, well. This is awkward.
Give it a rest, will you? There's no chance in hell that I'd let anything happen to her. Alright, let's go, Chizuru. This guy's just wasting our time.
Oh, okay. Alright. I skipped after Heisuke, and I couldn't help my lips from curling into a tight smile. At last, we had reached our destination, and it was time for us to confront Sanan once and for all. Despite my better instincts, I had hoped that we could somehow reach a non-violent resolution. A naive wish, but my one wish nonetheless. If there were no other options, if it truly came down to a battle of life or death, then battle we must. I embraced this hopeful sentiment, keeping my head pointed straight ahead of me as we descended down the mountain path. Alright, girl. You keep dreaming and believing. Was that really the end of that chapter? Alright, chapter 4. Better be getting our smooches in, because, guys, we're running out of time. But speaking of smooches... Full bloom. Alright, nothing's in the way of our smooches. Our arrival in Sendai was greeted with a foreboding silence, the sound of wind hissing into empty corners. The city was unusually calm, distinctly lacking any sign of townspeople or activity for miles. It was, by all normal accounts, a perfectly bright and unassuming afternoon. One could hear a pin drop in the distance, as the only other sound was the rattle of wind against the roads. Sounds like it's time for a quick draw duel at high noon in the city square. Like, where is everybody? This served to our advantage, allowing us to roam with no immediate fear of detection. It gave pause to think that this city was renowned for being the Tohoku region's most populated area. Nightfall was doubly disconcerting, as the darkness only amplified how unsettling the dead silence was. No trace of life caught our attention. Not a single voice, not a single light flickering in the lined arrangement of houses adjacent to the street. Somebody lit the lanterns, though. It disturbed me to think that the city owed its lifelessness to Sanan and his vile band of Furies. Sure is quiet.
You could say that again. I hope everyone's just locked up indoors, but...
Sanan envisioned a Fury kingdom, one that required the sacrifice of hundreds of innocent people. Were we seeing the fruits of his vision firsthand? We'd stumbled onto the main road, and the only sounds we'd heard were the distant clap of our echoing footsteps. If I hadn't known any better, I would have assumed that every single resident of this city had died. Just then... Huh? I felt a spooky presence behind me, as if an apparition brushed against the back of my knees. The feeling of being watched was palpable, and suddenly my feet felt rooted to the ground. It was a fear with which I'd become all too familiar. Heisuke became privy to my nervous energy. Reflexively, he grabbed a hold of his sword.
Chizuru, hide behind me!
Heisuke's scream alarmed me, and I heard the metallic screech of his sword leaving its scabbard.
Blood. Blood. Give me.
Two pairs of voracious red eyes spotted us, glaring at us from across a dimly lit pathway.
Blood. Give me. Blood!
There was nowhere to turn, and the Furies zealously reached for their swords before lunging at us.
Take that, you fools!
Heisuke swatted them back coolly, narrowly avoiding their aggressive approaches with well-timed footwork. After ducking to dodge an incoming strike, Heisuke whipped his sword around and sliced its sharp edge across the chest of his unguarded opponent. Heisuke, no! Injuring a Fury and opening its flesh will only attract more Furies with the scent of its blood.
Ah!
Heisuke suddenly paused, stepping backwards. His eyes darted behind him, seeking an opportunity to run.
Chizuru, this way!
Heisuke grabbed my wrist and whisked me away. Heisuke's fighting these Furies so oddly. I'm like, you should know all this stuff. Why are you doing this? Spilling blood was the surest way to draw in the unstoppable ire of the Furies lurking within the shadows. Heisuke led me into a tight, narrow alleyway, and we shimmied to the other side, passing through what looked to be an abandoned home in our escape. Heisuke and I hid quietly in areas such as these, desperately holding our breaths to avoid detection. So what's the plan here, guys?
Are they gone?
Yes, I think so.
Say, tonight's the night that Amagiri is supposed to distract all the Furies and get them away from the castle, right?
According to Kazuma, yes. I think we still got some time before the moon reaches its zenith. Sendai Castle was some distance away, and I wanted to err on the side of caution. As I played the scenario out in my head...
Gah!
Oh no. Now? Suddenly, Heisuke dropped to his knees, clutching madly at his abdomen in an abrupt outburst. Heisuke! Oh boy.
Damn it! Just doesn't quit, does it?
Alright, here we go. I reach for the Kadachi on my hip. I braced myself, swiftly sliding the sharp blade against the surface of my skin to split my wrist open. Heisuke. No words were needed. By now, Heisuke had become intimately familiar with this process, and I stuck out my bloody wrist. Here I have my bloody wrist. He hurriedly put the open wound to his drooling mouth. This is... Wait a minute. Spilling blood attracts Furies? Nobody else in this town is smelling this right now? I felt the sting of his eager tongue, softly tracing circles in varying speeds. Somehow I'd become in sync with the rhythm of his breathing, how the pinching sensation of blood entering his mouth made me shiver from head to toe.
Thanks.
I've already told you. There's no need to thank me. Strangely enough, this ritual had become a source of comfort. To think that I played some role in maintaining Heisuke's sanity was enough to satisfy me. In a way, the dull ache felt by the suckle of my wound was enticing, something I began to crave myself. Interesting. My blood is yours to take, whenever you need it. As long as you never tire of it, it is yours. Forever. We gotta find that fountain or whatever, though, right? So then this ritual won't happen anymore? And then Chizuru will go through withdrawal. Uh-oh. Feeling any better?
I guess.
Well, your skin's a lot less pale than earlier, at least. Although his face still looked as though most of the color had left it. You have no idea how happy I am to see you okay. Earlier you were writhing in so much pain, I'd seriously begun to think that you might not make it out of this one. Heisuke glanced at me pensively.
If it weren't for you, I would have died a long time ago. Every time, you're right by my side, keeping me safe.
What? It's not like that at all. Trust me, I didn't do anything special.
What? Come on, take some credit for once. You've saved my skin on multiple occasions. Jeez, even back before I became a Fury.
Heisuke plopped to sit on the floor beside me, crossing his arms over his knees as he spoke. Our shoulders nearly brushed together, which made my heart race slightly. We basked in this moment together quietly.
There's something I've been thinking over recently. I've been wondering what use there is in living if I can't go 5 minutes without sucking on someone's blood like a monster, you know? Or else I'd die.
What?
You're no monster.
You're no monster, Heisuke. Before any of this, before the water of life, or even afterwards, you've always been Heisuke. So please, don't tear yourself down like that.
I had committed myself to being frank with Heisuke.
He scrunched his nose, offering no immediate response. Instead, he smiled peacefully.
Yeah, you're no monster. I had a feeling you'd say something like that. But I am a monster. I'm really no different from any of the Fury Corps, or hell, anyone that found us just a little bit earlier. But, to my credit, there is something I've got that they don't.
And what's that?
Is this the time? Is this the time? I'm so excited. Come on. Let this be the time!
Heisuke suddenly locked his eyes with mine. For the first time in a long while, I sensed no hint of doubt behind them, and they pierced me so intensely it felt as though I'd been shot in the heart.
What was Heisuke talking about? Or who?
My heart began to race gradually, pounding inside my chest when Heisuke whispered coolly to me.
Alright. I've got you, Chizuru. You've stuck by me through thick and thin. All this time.
He flashed a wide, kind-hearted grin. His words replayed endlessly in my head, bestowing a saccharine warmth in my heart. Me? I'd suddenly become so overcome with feelings of affection that I struggled to believe this was real. It was as if I'd been dropped into a dream, almost needing to pinch myself in order to prove otherwise. So you like having me around, Heisuke?
Yeah, of course.
Do you need me?
Without a doubt. In the same way that Furies can't live without drinking blood,
Heisuke rested his chin upon his hand, carefully thinking of what words to choose. I could practically feel his cool breath tickle my cheek when he spoke, and I took solace knowing that this moment mattered to him as much as it did to me. He looked down, clasping my hand tightly with his.
I can't live without you.
Aww. His hand trembled anxiously.
Truth is, I'm terrified to think that there'll come a day when I'll no longer hear the sound of your voice. So, maybe it'd be better for you to find someone you deserve. A man who can offer you a future outside of all of this. But even so, I'm haunted by the notion that I could lose you someday. So, please, don't ever leave me, okay?
Ever since Heisuke drank the water of life, no, before that, Heisuke had been in constant conflict with negative thoughts festering inside of him. For so long, he had kept them buried underneath this veneer of well-meaning positivity. But the truth was, he was terrified of admitting that one day he would pass, leaving me to wander the remainder of my life without his company. Perhaps this is why he'd been so reluctant in sharing his feelings with me. Yeah, I kinda had that feeling. Somehow, he had managed to conquer the negativity inside of him, and all of a sudden, I felt complete knowing he trusted me enough to confide in me. My name felt safe in his mouth. I'd finally heard what I had only dreamt of for years. With a strong resolution, I gripped his hand. I lost myself in the warm, colorful sea of his gorgeous eyes, letting myself imagine that I was floating in a peaceful drift upon his irises. Wow! Heisuke's body tensed nervously in surprise, but he suddenly drew closer to my face. Come on, kiss CG. Words became unnecessary. What does it look like? What does it look like? Oh, yeah! Woo! That's a kiss! Look at that embrace! Very, very nice. Very nice indeed. Ah, that's so satisfying. You guys have been needing to kiss for so long. Ah. When our lips met, I could feel it tingle all the way down the base of my spine. A sensation that eclipsed what mere words could convey. We accessed an unseen part of one another. Had anyone else in my entire life ever loved me as much as he did? Would my lips be able to reach his heart in the same way that his so effortlessly coaxed mine? I was the sky and he was the stars, his shining touch reaching every surface of my sun-kissed skin. Together we were becoming one. His arms melted into the small of my back. I was inexplicably drawn to him, craving more and more of his touch with each passing moment. You go get him, girl. You can hold me closer. It's okay. I'm here. I'll always love you, Heisuke. Oh. Firmer grasp. He gazed at me on the verge of tears. Nice. We were uncertain when exactly, if at all, his mind would lose its touch with reality. For all we know, it was tomorrow, and his body would crumble to ash like the burned tip of an incense candle. Oh, please no. I savored his kiss, knowing it very well could have been our last ever. That's so sad. No. I became privy to the overriding fear of solitude that for so long had gripped Heisuke. But from this day forth, he no longer had to fear. My heart belonged to him, no matter what, and I vowed to myself that I would never leave him. The moment our lips finally parted, I held him close to my body, soaking in every bit of his warmth. I nestled into his neck, letting him know that he no longer needed to be afraid. Whatever the future had in store for us, I wanted to cherish this moment, freezing it in our minds' amber. That was so beautiful and bittersweet and oh my goodness. Aw, I think that was like the saddest kiss. These two need a happy ending, gosh darn it. We're gonna try. After ensuring that we were safe to come out, Heisuke and I resumed our sneaking around Sendai. Beside the front gates of Sendai Castle, Heisuke and I crept behind bushes. Ew, that's creepy. Our eyes focus on the Sendai warriors patrolling back and forth around the gated perimeter.
Looks like they've got a lot of eyes out here. What should we do?
Let's rule out doing a straightforward charge. Might be a little bit too reckless.
Sanan's the type to lure you into a false sense of security, though. No doubt taking the side entrance is even riskier than going through the front door. I wonder where Kimigiku's at. I remember her telling us that she'd check the castle for any hidden entrances.
Both of us became startled by the sound of footsteps approaching from a short distance away. Oh no. Had we been caught by a Fury? I shuffled my eyes back and forth, nervously searching for the source of the footsteps, and I nearly screamed. Ha! No wonder! Wow! The king himself came to get us! Dang! Hi. Okay, well, this is awkward. You know, never mind front or side. He just, like, came right from, he knew exactly where we were. Sheesh. Okay. Does that mean Kimigiku got captured? That'd be unfortunate. The guests of the hour have finally arrived. How naughty of you to have kept me waiting. Sanan? I'm trying to remember. So, hold on. Yeah, just one second before we get into this. Sanan still had his old clothes before the betrayal, right? Like, we never saw him in the new outfit before he enacted his plans. So where do you get the Western uniform? Why is he wearing a Western uniform if he's going to be, like, the king of a Fury kingdom? Is it just because he knows he looks good in it? I got questions.
Here I grew concerned that one of you would have gotten cold feet and fled for the hills. How I relish the thought of being surprised. Quite bold of you to show, Heisuke. Bolder than I thought.
Sanan was almost unrecognizable. He was clothed in a Western uniform, but there was something familiar about his expression, as if he had preserved an earlier part of himself, like Heisuke had said, that lured us into a sense of security. This familiarity, I soon realized, was part of his cunning, sadistic self, and my hair stood thinking that we had foolishly wandered into one of his traps. Bleh.
I must say, I'm rather impressed. I hadn't thought you bold enough to bring Yukimura along as well. If it were just the two of us, Toto, I assure you that your chances of surviving would be slim to none. A delicious prospect indeed. Asking Yukimura to serve as a witness to your death seems cruel, does it not?
Whatever you say, pal. She's not here for your amusement. She's here with me. Gotta say, Sanan, not surprised to see you've kicked your feet up at Sendai Castle like you own the place. Not too shabby, even for you.
You jest, but it is mine in all but name. Take it in. This is where my new kingdom shall be built.
Kingdom? Sanan, is it truly your wish to create this Fury kingdom? Sanan gestured towards Sendai Castle with his chin, which had been surrounded by a visible layer of what appeared to be a poisonous miasma. Okay. The same eerie sensation I felt sneaking through the deserted city of Sendai came flooding back to me. Had Sanan planned to surround the entirety of the country in this toxic fog? Was corrupting the whole of a town or a domain not enough to him? Toxic fog? This chilling thought made my spine tingle.
So, Sanan, what's your role in all this? You think you'd be a good king? Doesn't suit you too well.
How appropriate of you to notice. As I've already mentioned, the leader of this kingdom will be the princess.
What? Sen would never agree to such a thing!
'Tis only a matter of time, my dear. I have been feeding her my blood in daily increments, slowly bedding her into her true potential.
Oh god, you have to say slowly bedding her. Is there no other way to put that?
You're nuts! There's just no convincing you to let it go, is there? Even if I ask nicely.
You take me for quite the fool, don't you?
Heisuke no longer intended to mince words, drawing his sword from its sheath with impunity.
Alright, your loss. Guess that means I'm gonna have to do this the hard way.
The smug grin on Sanan's face suddenly disappeared, and he turned to face the ground somberly.
Toto, I cherished you more than anyone else. You were a brother to me, above all. We were very similar, you and I. We served in the same unit, drank the same serum, and learned to navigate the intricacies of life as Fury together. I wondered to myself what caused such a significant rift in our friendship.
Sanan's eyes thinned silently, and he took a timid step forward. His movements reminded me of a snake, gradually slithering towards its weakened prey. Oh dear.
We were kindred spirits, alike in more ways than you could fathom. Why, oh why, did you have to change?
The glow of Sanan's red eyes unsettled me, staring into the depths of my soul with a sudden glare. I'm like, is he coming around to the fact that it's like my fault somehow? She's turned you against me! Don't you turn against me!
Is it her? Is all of this Yukimura's doing? She has led you astray, my friend, manipulating you into a path of self-destruction, falsely leading you with emotion rather than reason.
The only one who's changed is you, Keisuke Sanan!
Heisuke screamed bitterly at his old friend, kicking the floor the moment the words escaped his mouth. Sanan left his head exposed, unfazed by Heisuke's reaction, even as the latter came barreling towards him with a sword in hand. Heisuke swung his sword downwards, only to be thwarted by the flick of Sanan's wrist, deflecting the attack.
Been practicing our fencing, have we? An amateur attempt, no doubt, but decent for you, I suppose.
Sanan took pleasure in taunting Heisuke. Just then, a flurry of voices and panic uproared from another side of the castle gate. From within the castle, I heard the chaotic scramble of Furies racing to and fro. Huh? The heck?
Another petulant outburst from the princess, isn't it? So be it.
Go, Sen! Good job, Sen! I gotta go. Sanan's eyes and hair returned to their original color, and he calmly put distance between us.
Are you running away from me, Sanan?
Until later, my friend. I have more pressing matters to attend to, so forgive me for not killing you sooner.
Sanan spun on his heel and turned around. It's like the anti-tuxedo mask. With a kick of his foot, he leapt high into the air, jumping over the castle gates to safety. Yeah, I'm with you there, Heisuke.
What the hell just happened?
I don't know, but Sanan just mentioned the princess, didn't he? So that must mean... Hopefully it was an indication that Sen was safe, or at the very least alive, and not under his power yet. Good job, girl.
We gotta follow him. There's no telling what he'll do while we got him cornered. If we leave him unchecked, there's no limit to what tricks he'll pull on us.
I'm afraid you're right. Okay. Heisuke and I were hidden a short distance away from the castle gate, watching the waves of Furies coming and going from its fortified interior. After what seemed like an eternity, all of the Furies seemed to have left the castle and entered the city.
Was this the riot that Kazuma talked about?
I guess.
Alright, I think that's our cue to sneak in.
Okay. Perhaps Kazuma hadn't fed us false information, and this truly was our chance to enter the castle. This feeling of relief was fleeting, however. Sanan possessed such an unbreakable calm, leaving me to wonder what he had up his sleeve. I could only imagine, despite how many Furies had left the castle, how many still remained within. There was no telling at what point Heisuke could potentially exhaust all of his remaining lifespan attempting to kill them in battle. Just then...
Who's there?
Heisuke shifted his feet to get into an offensive stance, startled by a rustle from a nearby tree. To our surprise, it was... Ah, I thought it might be you, since it was a tree. Apologies if I frightened you. The two of you made it. Kimigiku!
So if you're here, does that, mean you found a secret entrance?
Yes, but sneaking around the scattering of Furies proved even more difficult than I imagined. Please, come this way. I don't know. It seems too easy. I'm starting to get worried that Kimigiku's been taken over. Kimigiku, no. I want to believe. Kimigiku led us to a dried-up well, which, upon closer inspection, turned out to be a false door. Although to the naked eye, it was totally unassuming. At the base of the well, there was a narrow drainage chute that led into the side of the castle. Wow, you really could get into the castle from here, huh? This castle had allegedly been built during the Warring States period. Given the constant volatile nature of those battles, it seemed fitting to build their own contingency plans.
Huh. You think we might even find some hidden treasure in there?
If my sources are correct, then I believe so. Huh? Wait, really? Allegedly, Lord Masamune Date stored his mass fortune deep within the confines of this large castle in case of emergency. A military commander during the Warring States period who established the Sendai domain and helped build Sendai Castle. The truth, however, is uncertain.
Well, if Sanan gets a hold of that, then that'd probably complicate things now, wouldn't it? We gotta hurry.
Were Sanan and Sen beyond this point? I took a deep gulp, and I continued crawling on my knees through the moist, narrow chute right behind Heisuke and Kimigiku.